This is One on One. We're at the Life After Stroke Symposium, the conference here that the Kessler Foundation has put together. A whole range of interesting people coming together, people dealing with stroke, funders of these efforts, research efforts. Life after stroke is important. The foundation is dealing with, and the chairman of the board of the foundation, Board of Trustees, Glenn Reiter, is with us. Glenn, talk to us about, first of all, your involvement in this foundation and how a private citizen like yourself got so connected and committed.
Okay, well, thank you, Steve. Thanks for being here. I've been a member of the Board of Trustees for 6 years. I've been the chairman for, I guess at this point, 6 weeks. So I'm new to the chair, but I found the Kessler mission to be very, very compelling. You know, according to the federal government, 56 million Americans suffer from one or more physical or cognitive disabilities, and that's really a underserved population. In fact, it's a very low profile population. You know, 56 million Americans equates to 17% of our population. And the focus of the Kessler Foundation is to serve this underserved population.
Conference like this tonight, what do you expect to come out of it?
You know, this is a what I'd call a friend raiser, a community building exercise. You know, we're looking to raise the profile of the Kessler Foundation. You know, the Kessler Foundation has been doing its good works for more than a decade as a foundation, but it still is, and it has national reach and frankly international reach in terms of what it does, but we're still have a little bit of a profile issue. And so an event like this, and we expect more than 100 guests, you know, will in some small way help to raise our profile.
And people who are dealing with stroke, how important is it that we provide their testimonials, their stories, their struggles cognitively, as well as mobility issues? How important is that?
Very important. You know, people who have had a stroke often have difficulty in terms of reclaiming their lives, in terms of regaining independence. And so the work of the Kessler Foundation in the stroke area is directed at precisely that, to allow victims of stroke to re-engage in their communities, go back to their jobs or find new jobs that work in their situation. And so it's at the end of the day, life after stroke is about re-engagement with the victims or the patients' communities.
Well said. Thank you very much, Glenn.
Thank you.
Talking to our good friend, Dr. Karen Nolan, who is Senior Research Scientist in Human Performance and Engineering Research at Kessler Foundation. Good to see you, Doctor.
Very nice to see you again.
The people who have come here tonight, what do you think most of them are looking for? Some of them are dealing with stroke, life after stroke. What do you think most are looking for?
I think they're looking at the innovation we do at Kessler Foundation. Many of our research initiatives have started with donations and support from patients, family members, volunteers, somebody who's had a connection to the hospital or someone who has a connection to the disease. And many of our research initiatives have started from that kind of a donation. And I think they're looking to get involved to help.
Your area of expertise, let's break it down. You deal with motor function, motor rehabilitation, and biomechanics. And there's a robotic skeleton. What is the technical name?
So my background is in biomechanics, which is the physics of human movement. And so what we're doing is looking how the bones and the muscles move, looking at how the muscles contract, looking at how the limb segments move. And the goal of the exoskeleton is to take...
Say it again, what it's called, the exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton.
Exo.
Yeah, exoskeleton. And the goal of it is to provide a rigid framework around the human body that helps you move. So in traditional physical therapy, you would have the physical therapist manually moving the body. So they manually lift the leg, they manually move the arm. They do a lot of manual tasks and actually help the patient sequence through relearning movements they've lost from brain injury or stroke. So the exoskeleton is a powered, motorized device that in this case is helping you regain the ability to walk. And so it's walking for you under the guidance of a physical therapist. So it has motors at the hip, motors at the knee, and it provides support to the outside of the body to help move the limbs and take a step in a balanced and symmetrical fashion. And it's helping relearn the ability to walk. So when we walk, right, we have weight shifts. So we have to shift our weight and we have to offload or lift a limb and take a step. So what the device is doing through motors is helping you take that next step, and it's cueing you to shift your weight to walk in a synchronized and symmetrical fashion.
Talk about the quality of life issues associated with this. What does it do for people in terms of their quality of life?
So the goal in rehabilitation with our knowledge of neuroplasticity is get someone up and walking, get dosing really high, get as many steps as possible. But a lot of times with the guidance and manual assistance from a physical therapist, that dosing is high, but the quality may not be as possible because physically the therapist is moving the patient. And so what we want is we want the exoskeleton to provide high dosage and good quality walking to help retrain a healthy walking pattern while their brain is healing and learning after stroke.
The economics of this, talk about it.
So currently we have 3 exoskeletons that we can use at Kessler Institute for Rehabilitation West Orange and Kessler Institute Saddlebrook. Both of those are provided by Kessler Foundation. So they were provided through donations as well as support from the foundation. So the foundation purchased these devices, implemented into the clinical setting at Kessler Institute for Rehabilitation to use immediately with inpatients. And so what we're doing is we've implemented these devices. We're looking at the safety, feasibility, and efficacy of these devices. So economically, we're providing this as a research study. So we're looking at this from a research perspective, but it's translational research because we're implementing it immediately into the clinical setting. And we're trying to see, is it feasible? Can it be done in a clinical block of time? And how does it change the research, the rehabilitation landscape? How does it change recovery? And can we maximize recovery by using a device like this?
Who else is doing this research?
There are other centers around the U.S. doing this research. However, we are very cutting edge in that we're applying it in the acute inpatient process.
Why is that important?
Because it's where the brain is healing and relearning. It's where they're learning to walk again. And so when they're relearning the ability to walk, many times in the chronic phase, you're trying to unlearn bad habits or unlearn asymmetrical patterns. What we want to do is train with the best quality and the highest dosage as early as possible in the rehabilitation process so that they're constantly learning in an environment that's good quality and relearning their patterns in a very healthy way. And we want to maximize recovery.
Final question. You're very optimistic about life after stroke and what's possible, aren't you? You've seen a lot.
I'm really optimistic because when we first started, the knowledge of neuroplasticity was in its infancy, and it's still growing tremendously. And the idea that someone could continue to recover 6 months post-stroke and have maximum recovery in the first 3 months post-stroke, we have many techniques, many technology, many new strategies that can really maximize recovery that we didn't used to have. And with the new age of technology and applying it right into the inpatient setting, we can really set someone up to have a better recovery long term.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Choose New Jersey, Gary's Wine and Marketplace, New Jersey Resources, MD Advantage, the Give Something Back Foundation, NJM, and by the New Jersey Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.